Hey tribe, how's it going? Wonderful. I hope you're having a good day. Storms coming in later this evening for us in this area. So if you are in our stay watching, because I know that while not, of course, the whole country is facing this, but there's several here in the Midwest and going east. There's just a lot. So pay attention. Looks like some areas have some potential of very, very strong winds, hail, tornadoes. So pay attention to that. Have you seen the news reports coming out of California, Oakland, LA area? They've been talking about these migrant gangs. I mean, they're illegals. They're not necessarily calling them that, but that's what they are. And that they said that the home invasions have skyrocketed in the LA, Oakland area. There was a news report. I will attempt to post the actual news report, the video footage from a local news. And they're talking about how these gangs are getting large in size. They're all over the country. They're from New York, Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, all these different major cities. And they're moving around the country. So they'll hit multiple places and say LA, and then they'll move to New York to kind of, get away from the heat, basically, do their stuff there. They're becoming very highly trained, highly skilled, lots of technology. They're not just, your ragtag street thugs that are doing bad things. These are very organized. This is cartel type stuff. Also, along with that, there's been a lot in the news with illegals just squatting on property. And there's been videos of them, people in the illegal, the immigrant community telling all these people coming across the border how they can so easily just take over a property by just squatting on it. You've been warned. You know this. I would assume that most of you are preparing adequately for it. But it's time to harden up. Okay? It's time to harden up and be prepared for this. There's a scripture that fits, I think, and somebody think that this is too aggressive, but there's a scripture I think that fits this perfectly. It's Psalm 144:1. It says, "Blessed be Yahweh, the rock who makes my hands ready for war and my fingers ready for battle." This is a war that we're facing. And while there may not be any guarantee that you will directly face some type of conflict because of this in your area, I suspect that there will be pockets of this nation that will be somewhat isolated from this. I also suspect that there's pockets of this nation where people are just, how to put this nicely, they just don't put up with it. They don't put up with it. I spoke yesterday with a county, I guess you could call him a county official. he holds a position. It's not elected. He holds a position, but it's volunteer. It's not like fire department volunteer, county-wide position, but it's volunteer. And we were talking about this very thing. And he said that one of the things that they're hoping for out here where we're at is that the people that live out here, they won't put up with it, and that they're armed, and they're, most of these criminals, most of these gangs, these, illegals and stuff, they're looking for soft targets. They're looking for easy targets. That's why they're hitting all these liberal cities. And so he said, we're just, one of the things that we're hoping for is that because people out here are much more hardened, the county that we live in, I think has the highest per capita population of vets, I think, in the whole state. If not, it's in like the top 5, but I think it's number 1. We're good old country boys out here, and we're not going to put up with that. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't get ready for it. It would be foolish for me to say, well, because of that reason, I don't have to get prepared. Because if everyone had that mentality, then we're not nearly as hard as we thought we were. We have to get prepared for this, folks. This is gonna This is going to hit us hard, I think. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I wish and I hope that I could get on here 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, whatever, and say, you know what, folks, I was wrong that whole time. Nothing ever happened. I saw a comment, and I don't read all the comments on YouTube. I try not to, because so many, I mean, there's some good people and good comments, but so many times there's just trolls and idiots, and I know that shouldn't be saying that, but it's true. Someone, I guess the latest video I made talking about all the illegals and getting ready and all that kind of stuff, someone said, oh, this is a nothing burger. Nothing's going to happen. I'm like, okay, you either are brain dead or you truly are a troll, because stuff already has happened. How many innocent people in the news have been assaulted, beaten up, raped, murdered? I mean, beaten to a bloody pulp because of illegals. A lot lately. How many other crimes? How many just property destruction? How much drugs have come across the country? How much disease has come across the border? All of these things. So stuff already has happened. Has it hit an apocalyptic level where it's everywhere and it's total chaos and it's like some kind of, movie from Hollywood? Not yet. But it's getting there. In the rate that people are coming across the border, it probably isn't going to be too much longer. You need to get ready. As far as defense, you should be carrying all the time, as often as you can. You need to have a plan on your property. Make sure you have adequate ammunition. Make sure your ammunition is adequate in your firearm and your caliber, and all that kind of stuff is adequate. A couple of years ago, myself and a couple other guys taught a firearms class, a beginner, for people that's never had any training whatsoever. You either had a firearm or you went and purchased one, you've never really shot it, and you want to learn how. And so they were told to bring with them the weapon that they had that they were going to use for defense. Half of the people brought these little pocket pistols, some people call them little mouse pistols, little 22s, little 25 Derringers, little tiny 32s. Those type of firearms are what you use just before you start picking up sticks and rocks and throwing at people. Okay? As far as a handgun, I wouldn't have anything less than a 9mm. And even though that's not the greatest round in the world, if you have the right 9mm, if you get something that's capable of running the really hot rounds, the plus P rounds or the plus P plus rounds, you'll do pretty good. And then some manufacturers make firearms that are capable of shooting that. Some they don't work very well. Canic is a brand. I have no deal with Canic. If they want to send me a free pistol, I'll certainly take it. But they're great. They're very affordable, and you can shoot smoking hot rounds through them. 12 gauge pump shotguns are great. AR-15s are great. Yes, those are the common ones, but they're also the ones that are fairly cheap. Those are the ones that you can get a hold of. They're easy to shoot. They're easy to maintain. They're just simple. If you have something else, that's fine, but make sure you have something that's adequate. Learn how to use it. Learn how to move and shoot. Develop defense protocols for your property. What are you going to do if they show up? You just going to start shooting? Because if that happens right now, you could potentially go to jail. So you need to have protocols where it's not just your first line of action is just start pulling triggers. That's not what I'm advocating. There's a time and a place where lethal force is justified. But it may not be justified just because they're on your property, at least not in the area that you may be. So you need to have that worked out. What are you going to do if they, let's say you've got 20 or 30 acres and you find out one day on the other side of your property, for the last 3 days, they've been camped out squatting. What are you going to do? You go out there and you brandish a weapon, you tell them to leave, and then they don't leave. They don't. Then they want to fight. Maybe there's 3 or 4 of them and there's one of you. What's your plan then? What if they show up on your property because they're hungry and they're thirsty, or they need, gas for their vehicle, they're broke down or whatever? What are you going to do? You should be thinking about this kind of stuff. You should also have other things stocked up on. Don't forget the little things like bandages and over-the-counter medicine and batteries and, you know, that kind of stuff. Keep your equipment maintained. Knives sharp, guns oiled, tools ready to use, chainsaws tuned up, you know, all that kind of stuff. But really, you need to be thinking about this invasion that's going on. It is a Red Dawn moment. It's just not happening all in one day. It's happening over a period of months. And so it's spread out, and it kind of doesn't look as severe, but in the end, it's just as severe. Probably more, because there's so many more of them than there would be if China just invaded. Like if China just decided to invade, they're not going to be able to drop 10, 15, 20 million soldiers on our country over a period of days. There may be a few thousand, maybe even a few tens of thousands. But we're talking about 10 to 20 million people at minimum that have come across the border in the last 3 years. To the point that our population now, I saw the other day, the United States population is like something like 15% of our population is now illegal immigrants. This is an astronomical figure. We need to be prepared, folks. You need to be stocking up. You need to be training. You should, you know, if let's say some of you have a regular schedule of firearms training once a month, maybe you should be doing it twice or 4 times a month. You should be going over with your family what you're going to do, who's going to move where, who's going to hide where's the, you know, different positions you're going to take, how, you know, different signals. You know, someone pulls up in the middle of the day in your driveway because they're broke down or they're hungry. What kind of signals and stuff are you giving to your wife that's out there, to your children, to let them know that things are probably getting ready to go south? That kind of stuff. It doesn't hurt to be working on it, because I don't know that we have a whole lot more time before things get to that level at the rate that they're going. It's already happening in the big cities. And I've gotten way too many comments and messages from people about how it's happening in their neck of the woods, in Kansas and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan, Minnesota, and cities in Missouri and Tennessee and all over, where there's more and more of a buildup. And at some point, we're going to hit a tipping point. It's going to be that final straw breaking the camel's back. You better be ready for that moment. It's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.